Good evening, everyone. This is Vera Sadler, your host of Tuesday Talk Live, and we are here for another exciting episode of Tuesday Talk Live, and with my dear friend, Dr. Maudia Gentry. And y'all know how I have to do. I have to get myself all set up while we're doing this, but I am so excited that Dr. Gentry could be here with me on tonight. You don't want to miss this subject. If you miss it during tonight, please go back, replay it, share it. This is such important information. I'm going to give a little disclaimer here about Maudia because Maudia has been serving with me off and on, I want to say 5-6 years. Been doing some conferences with me, and every single time the women have been so blessed to learn about themselves and about physical. She is a respected healthcare PhD. She teaches, she does a lot of things, but most of all, she's a woman of God who has a lot to share and full of power, full of his word, but full of a way to bring forth the truth for us so that we know what's going on. I don't even know where I'm looking and paying attention to my camera tonight. So I'm going to ask Maudia to introduce herself, and then we're going to go straight into this. Our topic tonight is how emotions, how they affect our organs. And Maudia, I know you taught this to us a little bit at one of the conferences, and I really wanted you to share this with our guests. So, hey, if you have not already logged in, while Maudia is introducing herself, I'm going to ding some people and say, hop on, come into the room. So, Maudia, if you just take a minute and introduce yourself to the guests tonight and say where you're from, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay, good evening. I'm Maudia Gentry. I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas. Oh goodness, I'm a social worker by trade. I do a lot of research and I like curriculum development. I train community health workers for the state of Texas part time. And also, I work full time in healthcare where I do case management and curriculum design and other things. But I have just truly enjoyed serving with Vera over these years. And God has always given me such a way of writing material so it could be a tool for other people to use. So I wanted to share with you what I was doing some research on. I was reading other documents and I came across more and more about what our emotions do to our organs. And this is a conversation. We talk about our emotions and we talk about our organs, never thinking that that's a conversation that could go together and not a separate conversation. So I wanted to share with you definitely some takeaways on this and what happens when our emotions are literally not checked. So it begins to damage our organs long term and short term.
And Maudia, I don't think a lot of us, we always say that stress is a killer, it affects us, and we talk about those different things. But I don't think to the magnitude that you're going to share some stuff that we have really considered how emotions and the things that we get wrapped up into and caught into, how it really is taking tolls on specific areas of our body.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that the audience will be here to hear this tonight, but they really need to, I feel like, really need to understand this from that standpoint. Like you said, the research, the healthcare, that it's proven. It's not just something you're pulling out the hat and say, look, we prayed about this and I feel like the Lord said, no, this is research and this is data and this is proven. And so I want you, just wherever you want to start, tell me when you want me to share the slides or however that we can go ahead and let the audience, and I'm going to watch for questions so that if there's a question for you, I'll be watching for questions so I can share those with you as well.
Sure, go on and start it, Vera. That's good. There we go. Okay. So, y'all, the title of it is How Emotions Are Connected to Your Physical Organs and How They Affect Your Physical Health, and how they affect your organs. So, when we start to think about health, and this is health, we a lot of times think about hypertension, we think about cancers, we think about diabetes, but we never think that there is a strong correlation between our organs and our emotions. So tonight we're just going to talk about it and just kind of lay it out there so we can really know that when we don't control our emotions, then a lot of times that's long-term damage. Vera, next slide.
I'm learning how to do this. Maudia taught me something new tonight, y'all.
Y'all know it did. She already knew what she was doing. So there is a correlation between emotional health and physical health. And when we start to talk about that, I know you probably are quite surprised that a lot of the emotions begin to not only hurt us, but in the long run and in the short run. So let's talk about the health of your heart. So when we talk about heart, we talk about the one of the largest organs in your body. The largest is in your brain. But then when we start to talk about depression, we don't correlate what depression and heart disease go. We never think about that, but it is a two-way street. So not only does depression appear to promote heart disease, but it can also result from a heart attack. We've heard the term someone has a broken heart, and we connote that with our emotions, never thinking about that could be the physical aspect of it also. So depression can sap your motivation and make it hard to concentrate. Once again, affecting your emotions. It can also leave you have with a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. Once again, that's your emotion. But think about what happens long term with your heart and with your emotion.
Wow. You just said something so powerful. We always talk about, oh, they have a broken heart, but we've never related that to that really
Mhm,
physically affects the heart,
mhm. That's true.
and that how it can actually cause your body, that heart organ. We just say it, we think it's just an emotion. Oh, they feel this way,
Mhm.
they have this going on, but we don't relate to fact. No, they really have it's really affecting the heart and causing
That's true.
damage.
That's true. It is,
Wow.
dear. That's true. hmm Next slide. You're right. So let's go and let's take a deeper look at emotions. These are patterns of emotions. So emotions result from chemicals released in our body, streaming from our deeply held evolutional patterns of learned reactions from our life experiences. Let's stop right there. So we know for a
Mhm.
fact that the way many of us handle things didn't start. We were not given those tools, y'all, at adulthood. Those tools were given to us as children. And many times it had a lot to do with the experiences that you had as a child. And it also can have a lot to do the way you were raised and the pattern of the way you were raised. So the way you handle things now, you think, oh, that's new. No, that's not new. It started long, long ago in childhood. So often our emotions enlist the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems to carry messages through the body. Those are your two main systems of communication in your body. So these two systems make up an autonomic nervous system, which directly connects our emotional experiences to the health of our organs. Stop right there. Stop right there. So when we feel sad, we think, oh, I just feel sad. But I want you to picture, not only do you feel sad, but your organs are being bombarded with chemicals while you feel sad. So that means
Hmm.
your whole body knows that you feel sad. Most of us think, oh, that was either in my heart or that was in my head. No, it went all over your
Wow. Hold on. I'm typing notes because I want people to see this.
take your time. Take your time.
Wow.
Take your time.
And so, good
Mhm.
evening, Pastor Fran. But so I feel sad. I feel like I have no hope. So it's not just me, and it's not just here. You're
Mm-mm,
saying then, Dr. Gentry,
mm-mm,
you're telling us my somewhere in my body, it feels just what I felt.
mhm,
An organ, a actual living organ in my body is feeling that hopelessness, that sadness, that
mhm,
depression, and all that. And then I wonder why I'm sick. Wonder why I
mhm,
have all this other stuff. I'm sure you're
mhm,
going to go deeper into that, but
mhm,
man, this is so good. Just
mhm.
starting out is so good.
So always remember that every feeling you release in your body has a chemical.
Mm.
Always keep that in mind. So if you're sadness, you release a chemical. If you are happy, we know that you release chemicals and endorphins in the brain because you're ecstatic many times you're happy. So always keep that in mind when you start thinking about emotions and chemicals. So the more often we experience something, and the more often certain chemicals, there they are, y'all, are released, the more ingrained it becomes on our cellular level. That's your cells. So we see this played out in overwhelming amount of stress and adrenaline overload that is so prevalent in our society. Our bodies interpret minor stresses as well as major stresses. Emotions and memory are controlled by your lymphatic system of the brain. So, this part of the brain stores the memories of daily activities. This
Mm.
part of the brain recognizes danger and risk. Once again, emotions, chemicals. The system also affects our hormones and our internal organs.
Wow.
Our bodies respond dutifully with the chemicals designed to preserve and protect the body. We have been designed by God to be, y'all, in perfect harmony, but a lot of times, y'all, we're not. So we never realize that you got a whole system being affected by being depressed. You have a whole system being, if you've got other emotions, maybe you're anxious, maybe you're depressed and anxious. So all of that releases chemicals. And think about what it's doing to your organs.
I was going to ask you that because you just coupled two emotions, and I was going to say, so what about individuals who have, they're like they're on this roller coaster with their
Mhm,
emotions. Oh,
mhm,
one minute they're happy, or maybe let me ask this: some people try to pretend I'm great, but does the body know the difference
mhm.
from the
Oh, very,
emotions?
yeah.
Like I can, and I'll just give an example. You know how sometimes we go to work and we're like, oh, everything's peachy and cream, but we're ripped and emotionally we really are distraught. Does
Right.
our body and organ know? Because you said it's here at the
Yeah,
brain.
it's
So
here.
which will the body release then? Will it release the fake that I'm trying to
Mm-mm.
portray, or will it release what's really internally?
Good question. Those that are around you, Vera, they might not be able to detect it, but your body is not like that. Your body know is going to go to the true you. So the true you is depressed.
Wow.
So that means the body says, okay, here's some more hormones. Excuse me, here's some more chemicals. And guess what? Your body, your organs, everything respond to the depression because what people see on the face is not who we are. And
Hmm.
we live in a world and a society that it's all right to say, I'm okay, but really you're not. So your body knows the difference all along.
Wow, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what emotions could our body be responding to here? Y'all, I put this slide here because I just couldn't get away from it. I just thought it was amazing and I could relate to it. So, what do you think? What emotions are there? Your body is responding to. It's responding to happiness. It's responding to a lot of things. It might be spiritual. It might be something that you're feeling that maybe you got memories from when you were a
Hmm.
young person, going to church with your grandmother, going to church with your mom. So all of those are probably happy thoughts. So the body is being flooded with chemicals of release of happiness.
Man, I have so many questions when we get to the end of this. So, for all of those that are just now joining us or will join, I'm here with Dr. Maudia Gentry, and we're talking about how does your body respond to your organs, how emotions affect your organs. If you have a question, a comment, please put it in the chat because while we have Dr. Gentry here, I would love for her to be able to answer like some of these odd questions that I have right. And Pastor Fran is saying your body will respond to anger, fear, surprises, all
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
that. We think, I think so many times we've tried to mask it and we've tried to say we're okay. I'm stuck at that, Dr. Journey. We've tried to pretend and we think our body, I love how you just said it. No, your body knows the real you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like God does, right? God
That's
knows the
right.
real you, no matter what you
That's
show
right.
anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
Man.
So let's talk about those emotions and your organs. So you see at the very top of your lungs. You see also that you've got your heart. And y'all, I had to also put another picture in of the heart right here, because a lot of times people don't realize this is the way a human heart looks. Many times people think it looks like the Valentine heart on the Valentine card. Far from it, Charles. Far from it. So these are your major organs. And then you see here is your brain. So when you start talking about your emotions, you know for a fact the major organs in your body are being impacted by your emotions. It could be long term, y'all, or it could be short term.
Mm.
Okay, next slide. So let's talk about your lungs. Yo, when I saw this, I thought this was amazing. So I've never thought in my wildest dreams that grief and the lungs go to hand in hand. I just never thought that. So grief is a strong emotion. We all know that, and this is always so interesting too, y'all. Each emotion, you see, grief is wet and it's heavy. That means, y'all, it just literally brings you down. So it
Yes.
relates to the lungs, which is a place that grief tends to reside and accumulate. Stop right there. That is interesting. So self care for grief can be approached by bringing in cleansing, motivational practice, and foods. Think fresh juices, raw, spicy foods, add black pepper, fenugreek, ginger, cinnamon. These are just oregano and a few others. So these are different things that you would want to think about if you're going through grief and you're thinking you would never think that grief is an emotion that is so heavy it can weigh you down and it could affect your life. No one thinks about that. I know I did until I read this. And some greens and onions and expel extra phlegm. You want to get that phlegm out of your throat, out of your lungs as soon as possible. So now look at that. There's grief, and then there are the lungs.
Wow.
Never thought that.
So, oh my gosh, I'm going to let you keep teaching. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is so good. I hope people are catching this. Oh my gosh. So, when we can't breathe and we're struggling, we need to figure out what is going on around us that
Mhm,
we're possibly mourning over. And
mhm,
sometimes oh my gosh,
mhm,
Maudia, I don't know
mhm,
what to say.
mhm. And it
And so
could
you're
be
saying,
something, Vera, it could be something that is not a new grief. It could be something that you're grieving over and you've been grieving over it for years and you never made the connection.
and so you're saying in order to help our body heal from the emotions that's attacking it, there are also some things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
We can
Mm-hmm.
begin to, I love this, begin to eat better,
Mm-hmm.
because we already have this is dumping in. So we need to be putting in the other good stuff to combat. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes. Yes.
You're sending your body all this stuff it doesn't need with the grief and the, sadness. You need to combat it
Yes.
with doing better and caring for yourself better,
Yes.
which we find that most people grieving don't care for themselves like they should.
And
I've known people that are grieving, and you're like, we don't always want to ask them, are they okay? But that's where you see most people who aren't okay and aren't taking care. The self-care you said, but aren't doing self-care. They don't eat.
mm-mm,
They don't do a lot of this stuff you're talking about.
mm-mm,
Wow.
mm-mm, mm-mm. No. So let's talk about fear and the stomach. I thought that was interesting, y'all. So I felt, listen to these comments. I felt it in the pit of my stomach. We all know this phrase as a description of fear. Fear is cold and it's, y'all, a kind of a beta imbalance. So it affects the stomach. See, all the organs are affected from some kind of emotion. So you warm up your belly, it's your body, excuse me, y'all, especially your belly. It will help to balance and soothe the feeling of fear. So if you are a fearful person, there's a high chance that you probably have a lot of issues with your stomach.
Mm.
So we want to load up on warm comforting soup and stews, and we want to add a little ginger curry blend to our meals. We also want to start doing some warm baths that will help us, because once again, we would have never thought there is a correlation between fear and the stomach.
Mm. We just so we it's almost like we've just thought that these sayings we come up with are just sayings, but no, they really are scientific.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about anxiety and anxiousness. Will impact the small intestines. So, very closely related to fear is anxiety. This imbalance targets the small intestines. Anxiety can affect and manifest in digestive issues. So, think about that. If you've got fear, we know that's the stomach. And if you're anxious or you have anxiety, that can affect your small intestines. Y'all, when you really think about that, when I read that, I thought, oh my goodness. So just think about now we see how those emotions are not just right here when we say it's all right, oh, I'm doing just fine. That's not the truth. Our body knows the truth, and our organs definitely know the truth. Next
Oh
slide.
my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So next slide. So y'all, let's talk about the trust in the gallbladder. Now, when I read this, I thought, oh my goodness. So anyone who is experiencing broken trust knows how devastating it can be. The emotional trust are related to the gallbladder and the bladder. So when it feels like a challenge to trust what is out of your control, give attention to what you can do to have control over your own self care. Your self care is your most important thing. Focus on deepening your breath and take a step back from your decision.
Now I will say this is probably, I won't say just this one, but a lot of this is so revealing because you start thinking about yourself and how your body, oh, this is my stomach and why this is hurting. Pastor Fran says she's wonder why the stomach area is a target for fear. Um, it just came to my mind, Pastor Fran, because it's a seatbed of the Holy Spirit, and the enemy don't want anything down there coming out but fear and what's not of God. So he wants us always in turmoil and always, because what you're describing about all these emotions, right? They're causing us to be in turmoil. They're causing us not to be our body not to respond, our mental, our physical, our emotion, none of that's like in alignment. So how can we operate then in the purpose that we're called to be? You may pretend to go this way, but really you're not physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally aligned to do all that God wants you to do or be all that you're supposed to be. If you're not a believer and you don't believe like most of us do or some of us do, it's still, you can't walk forward because you're going to get this gripping pain. And oh, every time I go there, maybe I shouldn't, because every time I do this, my stomach hurts, so I have to go to the bathroom. I remember one of the first times I had to get up and preach a message. I had to go to the bathroom like twice before I had to get up there. Fear, anxiety, all of this is affecting those organs that would otherwise, if the Spirit of God, if I didn't have fear, the anointing, I'm huge on, and I'm gonna let Maudia get back to her slides, but I want you to hear this because I'm hearing something in the spirit realm. When the anointing is flowing and the anointing is working and the power of God is released, all of that, what comes up out of you, what's on the inside of you is God coming out, right? Not all this, oh, my stomach hurts, oh, I'm shaking, sometimes we've operated in ministry and we say, oh, I don't even remember what I said because it's God, right? But if you're empty, you don't have your cistern doesn't have the Holy Spirit because it's so full of all that other toxins, Maudia, that you just taught us. You're saying, well, you've just dumped in lack of trust. You've just dumped in fear. You've just dumped in depression. So not only does your stomach hurt, but your chest hurts. And, you're going to feel all these other aches and pains because your brain is telling you something's off balance, even though you're trying to pretend I got it all together. Man, this is so good. I see the comments that this is good. So this is really helping me as well as other people because I'm sure going to check how I behave. And not even just how I behave, but how I make sure I'm giving things over to God.
That's right. That is right there. That is so true.
Man,
So we've all had anger.
I'm laughing at the image. We all know that we think that's her real natural character.
and, and y'all, when I saw this, I said, I have got to put that in it. Anger and the liver. So, anger is a big emotion and it is connected to one of our most important organs in the body, the liver. As you can imagine, anger is a hot emotion, most often connected to our cardiovascular system. There's a
Hmm.
reason we respond to anger by saying, chill out, stay cool. That is what needs to happen when we are angry. That means, y'all, that there we go. They'll go
Oh,
back
you want me
there.
to go here? Okay, go ahead.
I was just so anger, y'all, means that we need to take a step back. We need to be meditative in the talk that we are speaking to ourselves
Hmm.
on the outside. So that means that
Hmm.
we need to start calming ourselves down, doing some deep breathing, whatever it takes to get us down, down, down. If not, y'all, and I thought about when I was putting that slide together, the people that walk around that are truly angry from sun up to sundown. We know that is not of God. So we know that you need to calm your system down with some cooling herbs. That might mean cilantro. That might mean a little a mint. That might mean a little dill. But those are some of the herbs that you can use. You want to make sure you eat regular and consistent meals, and you want to take very good care of yourself. Avoid lingering in anger. Anger, y'all, is connected to the liver. You need your liver. We all do. So you do not want to be angry and begin to destroy your liver.
So, Marty, every time you say something, something else pops up. So, oh, we have an echo. Do you have a phone on or something? I hear a slight echo.
I don't. I don't.
Um, I just when you just said anger and the liver and how so when people who are trying to control the who drink and they become angry, but where does the liquor go when they're drinking and that alcohol? That all rests in the liver, right? And it's attacking the liver just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that angry emotion is there to, oh my gosh, God, you're opening up and revealing to us some things about how all of this is connected. So if you know, and I'm sorry, I have family members that drink, and when they get drunk, they're stupid drunk and angry drunk, and they do all this like stuff that don't make sense. Um, but that's connected. So all that poison that's in already in there, and then you
Mm-hmm.
put more in there, and that's what comes out. So then we see all that stuff spewing out.
That's right.
Man, all right. I'm gonna keep going because we got a few more slides, and then I hope there's some questions and some different information, man, or comments that we can like engage with the whole our other people. If somebody wants to text me and come on and join us and ask questions, you are welcome to do that.
So let's talk about resentment. Resentment and the spleen. Y'all, many of us walk around for years resentful. So
Mm.
just think about what that's done to your spleen. So, ever heard someone mention venting spleen? It is an idiom, excuse me, that means to air one's grievances.
Hmm.
Airing one's grievances could reduce resentment if done in a healthy way. Notice it said a healthy way. Resentment is connected to the spleen and brings on hot feelings of anger. So there we go again, y'all. Now we got the spleen and the liver. Resentment is known as unresolved anger, relating it to the liver of which the spleen is dependent upon.
Wow.
Be mindful of critical thoughts and let go of the desire to overthink situations.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that too in the background. I don't know what that is.
That's okay. But so we have the liver who with the anger.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have resentment that attacks the spleen. But if you have anger that's unresolved, it becomes resentment, and the liver, the spleen needs the liver. So if you have this that you don't deal with, this can't operate either.
Yes. So guilt and shame go with the kidneys. There are common emotions connected to often affected kidneys. Watch out for situations that have a history of bringing up feelings of guilt or shame, as they are often related to one's family relationships or personal history. Just as the kidneys benefit from daily care and attention, awareness of shame and guilt require a vigilance and work. So, y'all, those a lot of times are considered the hidden emotions. Guilt and shame are always considered hidden emotions because there's not something people come out to talk about. And it's, a lot of times it's been there for many, many, many years. So, y'all, there it is, not even realizing I'm releasing a chemical. It could destroy my kidneys. If I've got resentment and anger, it could destroy y'all my liver. It could destroy my spleen and now my kidneys.
Wow. I'm going to share some scriptures the Lord's been dropping in my spirit in a minute, but I was just thinking about, and somebody might think, well, that doesn't make sense, Pastor Vera, but Pastor Vera, Coach Vera, whatever you want to call me. But I was thinking about, because you said something that was really key about guilt and shame are often like they're connected to family and being hidden emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And so what came to my mind, Maudia, was how many women suffer with UTIs?
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And the UTI
Mm-hmm.
really connected through our kidneys, isn't it? The urethra, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, and maybe I'm not thinking clearly. Maybe some medical people probably can straighten me out, but that's what just came to my mind. Women suffer with a lot of bladder infections,
Mm-hmm.
UTIs, or we're
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, I had kidney stones and
Mm-hmm.
different things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what have we allowed? And lots of times the guilt and shame is not always from things we've done. It's because we allow people to dump their issues on us. We allow people to tell us what we should be doing or what we shouldn't be doing, or put obligations and different things on us. Guilt and shame. But then it's coming out, you don't feel well. Now you laid up in the hospital, or you got to go to the doctor, or you taking cranberry pills for some black. I'm just thinking
Mm-hmm.
out loud, like
Mm-hmm.
so many things are coming to my mind.
Yes. Yes.
And you can correct me or just say whatever.
Mm.
Just you can just
Oh, you're on the right track. We never, when we start talking about physical health, there we never sit and think about the emotional. The emotions are connected to our physical health.
Mhm.
So attachment and the heart. So love, when it is far out of balance, can produce unhealthy attachments. The
Yes.
emotion is therefore tied to the heart. If you struggle with attachment issues, cultivate self reliance and independence. Begin to realize you're God's child, and that is enough.
Yes.
That's enough.
Yes, yes, yes.
Once again, y'all, we see a major organ being attacked by the emotions and the chemicals that are released from those emotions. So long term, y'all, that could be a very bad situation.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to end this slide presentation. We're just going to talk. So I am like ecstatic about what was shared tonight. And I'm looking in the chat and I'm trying to see if anybody has any questions. Been a lot of comments about this being good. So, Maria, as you teach this to individuals,
Mhm.
would you say there's a reluctance from individuals to believe just how much um, the emotions, really affect our body? Do you believe, because teaching this and this coming out and so clear, do you think that people really say, oh, wow, the light bulb's on. I need to really start taking better care of myself?
Mhm.
Or do you think it's certain populations or certain um, I don't want to say populations, it's not the right word.
Mm-hmm.
Demographics.
Yeah.
Certain demographics are least likely to really grasp it and
Mm-hmm. I've taught
buy
this
off.
several times, Vera. Um, some of the ladies I've taught before, the light bulb went on, as you would say, and they started connecting their emotions from childhood to some of their health conditions in adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think, how could this be? Vera, it's real. And I thought about guilt and shame, and guilt and shame. I thought about all the people that we know that have kidney issues, and we see the data. It's thousands and thousands. And I thought about that, and I said, wonder how many of these individuals have been impacted over the years with guilt and shame, unresolved issues. Because all of this is unresolved.
Yes. When you talk about the kidney issues, I can think back years ago, pre Donald, pre my marriage to Donald, but was in a relationship, and the worst kidney pain I ever had, kidney infection. Now, if I think back now, what was happening in my life at that time
Mhm.
when I was so sick? I don't know if Pastor Harbison might have been. She may have been at the hospital with me. I don't know, but I had to, in the middle of the night, had to get up and go to the hospital. I was in so much pain. But if I think back now, Maudia, as you're saying, trace it back.
Mhm.
My life was filled with guilt, shame, all kind of other things, and my body was under attack. But I got up every day and I functioned
Mhm.
as if nothing was going on. And I bottled up my emotions because I felt like I can't let anybody see this, or I couldn't let it out. I didn't know what to do with it. To be honest, I didn't know what to do with what I felt and
Yeah.
what was going on. But
Yeah.
now tracing it back, I can relate to some different times in my life when I've had different ailments.
Mhm.
Now that you're saying that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I did sort of have a little bit of that going on. Um, when I
Mhm.
was bitter for a period of time, y'all, let's be transparent and let's be real, because sometimes we lie to ourselves and say we don't have none of this going on. I'm not going to lie. There was a period of my life that I had to work through bitterness.
Yes.
I mean, I had to put stickies, post-it notes, God's scripture everywhere around to work through bitterness. But did I realize how much that was affecting my physical body at that time? And if we're not honest with ourselves, we are sending ourselves to a quick and an early grave. And I really don't think that's what God
Mhm.
has for us. Well, I know that's not what God has for us. God has for us to prosper and be in health as our soul prospers. So when your soul gets right with Him,
Mhm.
your physical body can get right. We
That's right.
Money, we spend time praying all the time for people, right? My
Yes.
sisters here on the line, we got long lists of prayer
Yes.
needs.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. Have we? Maybe it's time we pull back the layers
Mhm.
of the of personal of self deceit and
Yes.
say, "Whoa, what's really going on with me?" Because lots of times we do this instead of see the ones that's going here. Let me see what's going on with me.
Mhm.
Because you said it so in one of your slides, you say self control,
Yes.
self care. So many
Yes.
times we're trying to control everything else around us, that's why we're so sick.
And one of the things, Vera, is that we have to begin to have healthy boundaries. It's all right to say, let me get back to you. It might be time for you to take some rest. It might be time but many of us don't have healthy boundaries. So
Mm-hmm.
that means, y'all, we're not taking care of our bodies, nor are we taking care and having good emotional health. So if you've got good physical health, you've got to have good emotional health. That's another big
Oh, that's
fight.
so good. That's so good. That's so good. So, as you were talking, I mean, you can keep talking and keep sharing because I love how you teach on health and the body and our wellness. Uh, but I wanted to share as you were talking about all of this and you were sharing different um, emotions
Mm-hmm.
and being, burdened and hopelessness, depression, and I was just writing it down. God says, cast your care upon me, for I care for you. Take my yoke upon you, for my burden is easy. And my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Y'all, sorry, I'm misquoting it, but y'all know the scriptures. So God is saying, he just was saying, wait a minute. So you're carrying around hopelessness and depression when literally you can take it and do this. And cast, guys, if you don't realize, cast means to toss, throw it at the master's feet.
Come on.
You talked about anger overtaking us. Now, the Bible tells us we can be angry, but it says, do not sin. And what does it tell us? Do not let the sun go down upon your wrath. Well, now we know, Maudia, because if we're going to bed with all that anger, where is it going? It's going into our physical body.
That's right.
This is so good.
That is right.
You talked about fear. The Bible says, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. So when we have all this going, sorry, y'all, I got to look at these dogs over here getting into something. I think they're like humans. They know when I'm busy, so they start cutting up. But these are the things that came to my mind. Can you speak to any of that, Maudia, that has really helped you in situations to see your emotions? Or have you ever been in an instance where you see that emotion flaring and you can pull yourself back and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. If I don't do this, I know what it's going to do to my body.
Mm-hmm. It's ironic you asked that, Vera, because after I put that power part together, I sit down and just kind of looked at my own life, and I realized that I needed stronger boundaries. Okay. But I also needed to be able to release the spirit of bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
And that had just been with me. And as I prayed over it and I did more research over it, I asked God to take that away from me, because bitterness and a few other things, you can see if you taking all of those slides and you look at it, you got chronic disease for days and you don't realize it. And a lot of times we take medicine, which is great, but it's a spiritual situation, not always a physical situation, but it will turn into a physical situation because we take care of the spiritual situation part of it. So I just had to learn, and those slides just really did, when I was doing that research, open my eyes to what I carry around, because some of that stuff you can carry around for 30, 40, 50 years. And eventually you're just thinking, my health is deteriorating. No, but the spirit part of you has deteriorated. So now it is affecting your actual body and your organs.
Wow. And you say carrying around, I did a grief class. I taught a grief class, not did it, but I taught a grief class. And one of the participants, well, I'll talk about two. There were two participants in the class. One had been carrying grief for 10 years. And I'm not saying that I can put a time limit at all on how someone processes grief. No one mistake what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, from her statement to me, she wasn't processing. She just was like, she put it in a little box and said, this is my pain. This is my grief. I don't even want to address it. I'm just going to hold it there. Another lady said, Maudia, she'd been carrying it around for 20 years. The grief of, she had initially anticipatory grief because she was her husband's caretaker. Then when he passed away, she couldn't deal with the love of her life being gone for these years now. And 20 years later, she said, I've never really opened up about how that really affected me. And I just know it's still there. And I really didn't want to peel back. So in the class, we did some exercises for her to peel back and talk and say goodbye and release. And you could see it was a 5-week class, but you could see over the 5 weeks how helping these individuals say the grief, how their countenance changed. And it wasn't that all of it went away, but it was like letting go of some things that probably was weighing, as you say, not probably, but weighing them down, because grief does mean that even the word that it comes from is just gravitas, gravitas in the Latin word means weight. It's weighty. So
Yes.
if anybody think you're making this up, it's not. I'm in the process of getting ready to publish a workbook for those in grief. And one of the words that it comes from is weighty. So we're carrying around something that's weighty. We wonder why we can't breathe, why we don't
Mm-hmm.
have any movement, why we don't. But yeah, it was interesting. One was 10 years and one was 20 years. And we had to really peel back and do some
Yes.
work to open up. But you could
Yes.
see after the 5 weeks how their countenance had changed.
My goodness. Yes. And Vera, a lot of times after we've had some of these emotions so long, we become very protective of them.
Wow.
We really do. We become very protective of them. There's a lot of research out there. We literally just kind of hold on to them. They become like our safety blanket. We become very protective of those emotions because they have been with us so long. We figure, well, there's nothing wrong with this, so I'll just keep hold on to it 20 more years, 30 more years. I'm just not realizing the damage that it is doing to your
Mm.
organs.
Do you think a lot of people know that they're holding those emotions, or they're not even aware? I would just say, from all the people that you've worked with, do you think more people know? I mean, even with the protecting, I'm protecting this emotion. I've been like
Mhm.
this all these years. But do you think they are aware that that is the emotion they're carrying, or they've just locked it away for so they don't even know that it's there? Like, I don't know that I have resentment. I don't know that I have
Mhm.
an angry spirit. I just this,
Yeah.
we make excuses. It's just the way I am.
Yes. One lady told me one time it was like a nice fine handbag. She loved it and she took it everywhere she went. And she was talking about her grief. And she had been
Wow.
grieving for years and years and years and years. She had literally shut down just the rest of her life to do nothing but grieve.
Wow. Like a nice handbag.
That's
Oh,
what she
this is
told me. It was
mine.
a nice handbag. I
I
said,
understand. Like,
well,
I got a nice one. Sometimes when I give away something like that one, my husband bought me, I can't give it away. We're like that. I got to hold on to that. I can't let go of this emotion because I.
that's what she
Do you
told me.
think people feel guilty in grief? I'll talk about grief, or in anger or
Mhm.
resentment. Do you think sometimes what happens when the guilt comes in? Do we? Because now we're coupling this
Mhm.
emotion with this emotion.
Mhm.
I would think that the guilt or the shame would say, "Well, let this go," but it doesn't always, does it?
Mm-mm. No, no, it doesn't. It has a lot to do with the way you process it. It has a lot to do with what happened. It has a lot of circumstances, and that's why you see some people carry with them.
Guys, everybody that's here tonight, or you're going to watch this episode later, I hope you really will understand and get what you need to learn about your body, the emotions we carry, how they affect us, because there's some things that we can kind of manage better. As Dr. Gentry said, we can have better boundaries. We can learn to have better self care, take care of ourselves, just things we can do better so that we're not becoming our own poison. It's like we're putting the own poisonous toxins in our own body, but we want to be healthy. I know in this phase of my life that I am trying to do all I can to be healthy. At 60 years old, I don't want to be bent over. I don't want to be slumped over. I don't want to be, I can barely get up. I don't want that. I don't want to look that way. I want to be able to, but then that means I have to let go of some stuff. And
Yes.
so, Maudia, I appreciate everything that you shared with this information, because and how you shared it, because lots of times I have conversations with individuals, but you gave realistic information that people can see. This is research driven. And y'all, if anybody know about research, when it's research driven, that means it's not just one person. It's time after time after time after time of study. And
Mhm.
Dr. Maria is a healthcare PhD. That
Yes.
is her field of expertise. She trains individuals in these areas. And I just love you so much, Maria. If you had to share something with the guests that are listening tonight, in either a word of encouragement or a word of, hey, think about this or something, because I know, and I will put this out there before I let her share, but if you want to get more information about healthcare and how to care for yourself,
Yeah.
Please reach out to me. I can connect you with the information that you need to get from Dr. Gentry. I can make sure you get it. She did, ladies. She did an amazing teaching for us of how to care for your body at every age and stage. So I'm 60. I can't be acting like I'm 20. I need to care for my body at 60-year-old body. She did an amazing teaching for us women, and I still have those notes and think about that. Sometime when my knees pop in the morning, Maudia, I'm thinking about that. 20 no more. I'm not 30.
Very,
But
very.
what would you share with our guests as we close out this segment of Tuesday Talk Live? But you're such a jewel, and you know how much I love you.
I know. I love you all too. Oh my God. Really. I read your texts and smile many times in the morning or whenever I see them. One thing what we want to take away is learn to release. Learn to release. You do not want to carry a small handbag like my dear patient told me that day. You don't want to carry that. Learn to release. Learn to pray over that and release it. Because y'all, you know, like I do, God has it. We don't have to fight the fight. It's already been won. All we have to do is control. And a lot of times that we control our emotions, we see things different. When
Hmm.
it first happens, yes, yes. But then as we just think about it a couple of hours later, if you notice, it kind of fades on away. But if it doesn't fade away, you got to ask yourself, is this willing? Is this emotion that I'm feeling? Is it an emotion that I'm willing to carry around that could damage me physically?
Wow, that's really good.
Mhm.
Is it an emotion I'm willing to carry around
Yes, yes.
and think about how it affects me? God, yo, guys, we've been here tonight with Dr. Maudia Gentry, and we've been talking about how your emotions affect your organs. If you're interested in getting any information on this, please DM me. I will make sure you get whatever you need. If you are one of those people that carrying your handbag, your fancy Brahmin, Louis Vuitton, whatever it is that you carry of your emotion and you are protecting it. You don't want anybody else to have it. You feel like there's no way I can process, because we're not saying that emotions are not real. She never said that. She never said that emotions aren't real and that things don't affect us. What she said is don't carry them and be mindful of how they affect your organs. And we want to be healthy. God has made us stewards of this body. He didn't just make us stewards of money. He didn't just make us stewards of time. He made us stewards of this body. And so if we want to be kingdom ambassadors in this last day and do all the work we can for the kingdom, then
Yes.
we have to be mindful to take care of these bodies. I am your host, Vera Sadler, with Tuesday Talk Live, and we will see you again next week. Thank you, Maudia, for teaching me
You're
how,
welcome.
letting me learn how to share a slide on the show. I had never done that before, but that was wonderful. Now I know how to do it. But guys, until we see you again next week on Tuesday Talk Live, you have a great night. Good night, everyone.